Okay, so let's go over a few of the problems here in section 1.1. I encourage you to read the section. There's some good discussion of the concepts in the section, as well as some good sample problems that are explained pretty clearly in writing, but this is just an addition to that. If you have any questions, I encourage you to email me. It's important that we keep up communication during this online-only term. So let's take a look at, well, first let's talk about a couple of concepts that are going to be very important in doing these problems. The first of which is squaring a binomial. So if we have a binomial, something like x plus 3 all squared, that means that we want to multiply it by itself. So we want to do x plus 3 times x plus 3. And the key here is that this will be x squared and then plus 3x, and plus 9. And so in the end, we have x squared plus 6x plus 9. The most common mistake that people make here is they think that you can just square each of these terms and get x squared plus 9, but you can see we've got this middle term, the 6x, and that's really important to understand. Another concept that's important to understand in this section is how to handle a coefficient that's outside of parentheses. So for example, if we have something like 5 times x minus 2 times x plus 7. So something like that. A good way to handle this problem is to first multiply the two binomials, and that'll give us x squared plus 5x minus 14. And then distribute the 5 that's outside here. So that'll be 5x squared plus 25x minus 70. Okay, so those ideas on their own are not that complicated. What can be difficult is doing them in the context of a problem where there are a lot of different things going on. So let's take a look at a few problems in the textbook here. These are going to be on page 9. We'll start with problem 4. Here we have 5x minus 3 times x minus 2 times x plus 7, and then plus 3 times x minus 2 all squared. Okay, so one thing to understand right away is we've got 3 separate pieces in this problem. We've got this piece here, and then the 5x in the front. Now the 5x, there's not a whole lot that we're going to be doing with this until the very end when we combine like terms. Okay? These other 2 pieces need to be simplified. So let's go ahead and do that. The 5x will stay the way that it is. We'll leave that 3 alone for a minute, and we'll multiply these 2 together, just like we did a minute ago. So this will be x squared plus 5x minus 14. Over here, don't forget this x minus 2 squared means x minus 2 times x minus 2. And so we'll have the 3 here, and this will be x squared minus 4x plus 4. So there's the first step. The next thing we want to do is distribute these 3's inside the parentheses. Now notice that this 3 has a positive in front of it, this 3 has a negative in front of it, and we want to carry those signs with the number as we distribute. So this 5x will stay the way that it is, and then here we'll have minus 3x squared, minus 15x, and positive 42. Over here we'll have positive 3x squared, minus 12x, plus 12. So now we need to combine like terms. The x squared pieces actually end up canceling each other out because we've got a positive 3x squared and a negative 3x squared, so those just cancel each other out. The x terms, we've got a negative 12x, a negative 15x, and a positive 5x. And so together that would make negative 22x. And then the constant pieces, the positive 42 and the positive 12, will make positive 54. And then, so our answer in simplified form is negative 22x plus 54. Okay, well, Let's look at a few more of these. Let's see. Problem 6 doesn't have the coefficients in front of the parentheses the way that problem 4 did, and like we'll see in problems 8 and 10. Problem 6, we just have a minus 1 times a minus 2, and then minus a minus 2 times a minus 3, and then plus a minus 3 times a minus 4. So again, like I said a minute ago, there's no coefficients here to worry about, but you do have this minus sign in front of this middle piece right here. And so just like we did in that last problem, we're going to need to distribute this. You can think of it as distributing a negative sign or distributing a negative 1. It's going to have the same effect either way. First off, let's go ahead and multiply these together. This will give us a squared minus 3a plus 2. Here I'm going to keep these parentheses because I haven't distributed this minus sign yet. So inside the parentheses we'll have a squared minus 5a plus 6. And then in this last piece we'll get a squared minus 7a plus 12. So we need the parentheses here because we still have to distribute that minus sign. Here you don't really need the parentheses because distributing this positive 1 is not going to change anything. So this right here will have a squared minus 3a plus 2. And then when we distribute the negative sign, we'll get minus a squared plus 5a minus 6. And then, like I said, over here, this will just be plus a squared minus 7a plus 12. And now we want to go through and combine like terms. So we'll get a positive a squared, a negative a squared, and a positive a squared. So that leaves us with positive 1a squared. And then with the a terms, let's see, we've got a negative 7a, a positive 5a, and a negative 3a. And so that'll leave us with minus 5a. And then the constant pieces, we've got 12 and 2 make 14. Minus 6 leaves us with positive 8. And so the answer for 6 in simplified form would be a squared minus 5a plus 8. Okay. Let's see here. Problem 8. Problem 8 is a little bit shorter. It only has 2 pieces to start out with. We've got 2 times x minus 5 times 3x plus 1, and then minus 2x minus 1 all squared. So, here we want to multiply these two together first. We'll leave the 2 alone for a minute. This will be 3x squared, and then we'll get minus 15x and positive 1x, so minus 14x, and then minus 5. Over here, don't forget, if you're squaring a binomial, you're multiplying it by itself. So this will be minus 4x squared minus 4x plus 1. And so now we need to distribute each of these. We'll need to distribute the 2 into these parentheses, and then this minus 1 or a minus sign into these parentheses. So this will be 6x squared minus 28x minus 10, and then minus 4x squared plus 4x minus 1. So let's see here. That'll leave us with 2x squared, and then minus 24x minus 11. And so there's the simplified form for problem 8. Okay, let's see here. Problem 10. Very similar in a lot of ways to problem 4. well, let's take a look at it. So in problem 10, we have 6x minus 4 times x plus 10 times x minus 1, and then plus x plus 1 all squared. So again, like I said, this is similar to problem 4. We've got 3 pieces, this one, and this one. Okay? Now it doesn't matter where we start. If I wanted to, I could start over here by squaring out the x plus 1. So we want to multiply it by itself, and so this will be plus x squared plus 2x plus 1. The 6x will stay the way that it is. In the middle piece, we'll leave the 4 alone for a minute, and if we multiply these two together, we'll get x squared plus 9x minus 10. And now we just need to distribute the 4 inside these parentheses. So we'll get 6x minus 4x squared minus 36x plus 40. And then because this is just a positive sign or a positive 1, we'll come out of there with x squared plus 2x plus 1. So now we want to combine our like terms. We've got a 1x squared here, a minus 4x squared here, so that gives us minus 3x squared. Let's see, a positive 2x, negative 36x, and positive 6x, so that should leave us with negative 28x. And then the 40 and the 1 will make 41. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, I encourage you to contact me. I would say send an email first. I'm open to having phone conversations with people if that's another way that I can help you to understand what we're doing here. That's it. I'll be back with more videos for the other sections in Chapter 1 as we get started with spring term. Thanks a lot.